Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful, whatever day of the week it is you're watching this video. For those who don't know, my name's Dustin, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of tell you a brief story about myself, and I hope you have a few minutes to spare. For those of you who don't know me, I have MS, and that's multiple sclerosis for those of you who aren't into the whole brevity thing. So I just want to take a few minutes to kind of tell you my story about how I got diagnosed with MS, and we'll cut it off there. So back in September of 2017, I was living in the suburb of Los Angeles, famously known as the Valley. And for anybody familiar with Los Angeles, you know that if you live in the Valley, it's always about 10 to 15 degrees hotter there than it is, over the hill in Hollywood proper. So this September was a particularly hot September, and my apartment building did not have central air conditioning in it. I had one of those window units, but because the apartment owner didn't want the window units kind of in the facade of the building, because he thought it would, bring down the curb appeal, and where my particular apartment was positioned, he put it in the window of the kitchen, which didn't do me a whole lot of good. I wasn't spending a whole lot of time in the kitchen. So when it got hot, I'd turn on the AC to get my kitchen nice and cold, but not the living room or any other part of the house. So what I would do is I would take like a fan and I would put it in the little entryway there to blow the cool air out into the living room and cool up the room as best I can. And on this particular night, it was so hot I just couldn't sleep in my bedroom, even with the ceiling fan on. So I went out into the living room and I threw a blanket on the floor. I can't sleep on couches. I need a lot of room to move around. So I said, oh, the hard floor is going to be better than the couch. So I did that and I slept. And I woke up and I was kind of in an awkward position. Didn't have the most comfortable sleep because, sleeping on the hard ground. And I noticed I was kind of waking up like this, and I noticed, God, from about my hand, mid forearm, it felt numb. Kind of felt like it was asleep, like when one of your limbs falls asleep. And I tried to shake it out as best I could, and it didn't really go away. I didn't really think too much about it, to be honest. I got up, I had my shower, and after my shower, I was getting dressed, and as I was pulling my sock on, I noticed that it felt like I was kind of pulling my foot into a bag of sandpaper. And I said, that's odd. And then I felt my foot, from about the calf down, that's numb too. I wasn't too worried. I thought, hey, maybe I pinched a nerve or something. And I just decided to ignore it and go about my day, and actually go about my days because it was many days that I went with this numbness in my hand and my foot on the left side of my body. And my mom and my girlfriend were telling me, you better go see a doctor. I didn't really want to go to the doctor, but eventually I was convinced, and it was a Sunday, I remember, and I went to the urgent care because it was Sunday. And I kind of told them what was going on. They said, oh, no, we don't want to see you with those symptoms. You need to go to the emergency room. And I was like, I don't want to go to the emergency room. I don't want that copay, So I said, I'll just wait till Monday and go see my primary. And that's exactly what I did. And when I saw my primary care doctor, I explained, the numbness, and it's lasted for many days. And he said, you know what, I want to refer you to our neurologist here. It's fine. So he referred me to the neurologist. I went to see him the next day. And, he kind of did a bunch of tests. He was testing my balance. He was testing how quickly I could move my fingers on both hands, kind of strength of like resistance strength, all these odd tests. And I didn't really think much of it. And he said, well, to me, this looks like it could be multiple sclerosis. And, I was pretty naive even at, the age of 39 when I was diagnosed. And I was, all right, great. Well, how do we get rid of it? Not really knowing what multiple sclerosis was. I've heard the term thrown around, in the course of my lifetime, but I never really investigated it. And that I knew of, I didn't know anybody affected by MS. And so, he kind of broke it down for me what it was, and it didn't really hit me or worry me because I was sure this wasn't what we were dealing with here. And so he sent me to get an MRI. And I went and had the MRI, and then a day later he got the report back and had me come in, and he told me, the findings of the MRI are consistent with multiple sclerosis. We do see two areas of your brain that have nerve damage, um, and that's probably the reason that you're experiencing those symptoms. It didn't really hit me at the time, again, because I wasn't really familiar with multiple sclerosis. Even though he told me I might have it, I didn't really even research it when I went home. But when he did tell me, okay, this is what I think you have, I started researching it, and I began to see how serious a disease it is. And, I got nervous, and so I went to go see another neurologist. I wanted to get another opinion, and I said, well, give me the best. I went to one of the top neurologists in the LA area who specializes in MS. And she went over everything with me, did all the tests that the other neurologist did, maybe even more tests. And she went through my MRI with me layer by layer, and she told me, yep, I agree. I think what we're dealing with here is multiple sclerosis. So that's kind of where it was. And again, I wasn't too nervous about it. I don't know why. It hadn't hit me yet, I don't think. And I mean, from there, it went to deciding on how I was going to tackle this. Was I going to go on treatment? If I was, what treatment was I going to choose? All that research, and sometimes the drugs can be scarier than the disease, or not taking the drugs can be scarier than the disease. There's a whole lot to unpack there. But for me, I'm thankful that it all happened fairly quickly. I talked to a lot of people in my support groups, of which I partake in many, and a lot of them say it took years, could take over 10 years for them to get a diagnosis from the onset of their first symptoms. Other people, when they got diagnosed, started thinking back and said, I probably had this when I was 16, or I probably had this for 20 years and just never knew it. But for me, it kind of all just happened from the symptoms to diagnosis. I hadn't really experienced anything that I look back on and say, I've probably had MS for 5 years, for 10 years. The only thing I can possibly think of is I've always kind of had a low tolerance for heat, hot weather. And also, I've been a bit lazy, been kind of a lazy guy. And, who knows? I could just have been a lazy guy who doesn't like the sun too much, or I don't know, maybe they could have been sort of early warning signs. It's hard to say. But anyway, so since my diagnosis, there has been definitely some progression with my disease, and just a lot of emotion, a lot of getting used to this new life that I now have, and it's a life-changing diagnosis, that's for sure. But all I can do from this point is just take it one day at a time. So that's it. That's sort of my story of how I became diagnosed. There's certainly a whole lot more to tell you guys, but I won't do that today. I just wanted to share this with, for the friends and family that I have that know I have MS but aren't sure how I became diagnosed with MS, or even don't know, how it's affecting me, because we don't speak all that often. I wanted to just kind of throw together a quick video to kind of explain what brought me to where I am today and how that all came to be. And for those of you who might stumble upon my video, who are just trying to figure out your own diagnosis, or you've just been diagnosed and you're scared and you want to see how other people are handling it, I wanted to make this video for you guys, more importantly, just because I know that when I was first diagnosed and kind of digesting the diagnosis and the roller coaster from kind of disbelief to oh shit to oh crap, then it's I sort of have leveled out at this point. I mean, it's still a roller coaster, but emotionally I'm sort of accepting it and dealing with it the best way I can at this point. So I hope that that you guys who also have been diagnosed with MS, or any sort of life-changing disease or situation or condition. I just want you guys to know that, you're not alone. There's a lot of us out here who are dealing with something, and you know, life can change pretty much in an instant. But I do plan on making more videos. I want to talk about, the treatment I'm on, the different treatments I've tried, how I decided to go on these treatments. I want to talk about my progression, new symptoms, new challenges I deal with it every day. I want to talk about, struggles with depression, or, loving myself, or my relationship, not just with, my girlfriend, but with my friends and with my family, and how MS has affected that. Work, how has it affected work? And not only that, I also want to, try to give some positive tales, if you will. I want to talk about my ups, not just my downs. So I hope that you'll look forward to watching some more videos as I post them on this channel. And that's about it, guys. And I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And I hope you will continue to watch my videos, because I want everyone to know that I'm okay. I don't want everyone to worry so much, and but I also want you guys to know, those of you who are struggling with the chronic disease, that you will be okay too. I understand it's hard, and it is, believe me. I deal with it every day. But you're not alone. You're not alone. So thank you again. I love you guys very much. Have a wonderful day, and let's do this day and get to tomorrow and do that one too, and let's just come out on top of this thing called life. What do you say? And if you hear any snoring, that's my dog, who's fast asleep at my feet. Yeah, she's a sleeper. Okay, bye-bye.